and it was Snake. And they were both absolute monsters. So there is a lot of pressure right now on EPA's shoulders on behalf of all of the LSPL.
Most certainly is. But we are into Champion Select, ladies and gentlemen, as WE are going to be on the blue side against Energy Pacemaker, all who are putting on the red shorts. As you can see, Tom Kench already removed. We'll see whether that Kindred gets removed very quickly as well, as there are a lot of power picks at the moment in the meta, Rusty.
Yes, so many power picks available in this current meta. Poppy, just to name one of them that we saw very prevalent last night in the EU LCS and pretty much everywhere in the world.
Yes. And of course, Kindred is a huge pick. Hasn't been banned away just yet, as Misfortune is going to be the one taken off the board. Lulu as well going to be taken. So Gangplank Lulu banned from Energy Pacemaker. There are a lot of big names still left here.
Yeah.
For both teams to pick up and see what does change.
So Gangplank and Kindred were the two champions banned 100% of the time in the two best of threes yesterday.
Yeah.
And Kindred having not been addressed right now might be something World Elite or in particular Energy Pacemaker all should be looking at banning because World Elite get the first pick.
Yeah. Well, Rise is going to be taken away from Gimgoon now, or potentially Republic in the mid lane. Decent flex pick, but we'll see what the answer is. But there are just so many champions of such high priority that could still be taken. Energy Pacemaker just looking for extra ban buttons, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to find any. I would honestly just get rid of the Kindred if I were them. There's going to be so many options available. Trundle, potentially the first pick.
Yeah.
But instead they don't.
They get rid of the Lissandra.
I guess that presents an interesting question as to what do World Elite value? Do they actually want to go for the Trundle in that first pick? Get that the first rotation for 0. It's also a flex, so there is extra added strength to that pick. But as is Poppy, to be fair. Quinn, to an extent, also very good at that. None of these champions ban.
It's very interesting. And of course, Energy Pacemaker all banning away Lissandra. They like to flex that pick themselves between the top and the mid lane. We have been seeing an extra large amount of Alistair just recently, of course. Picked or banned yesterday in every single game. But without the Misfortune to pair with it, seems a little bit interesting.
I just thought it was Marta at first when I saw all of the Alistar, because he's just an absolute monster on that champion. But it is showing to be a trend, as is that hover at the moment. We'll be surprised if it gets locked in, but very strong.
Yeah,
very
of course.
strong.
Fire Lolly not making it look so, but then MLXG picked it up and did disgusting things with the champion. Ezreal making a massive resurgence at the same time, as we saw Defts patented Ezreal. Not successful, but he was still playing fantastically well. It has been switched over now, and we'll see whether that Graves is going to be locked in there for Rabbit 97.
Well, if you're looking at a really good next rotation, I would go for the Trundle and the Graves. I think that would be just outlandish, but the reason you would go for the Trundle is because you can pick it in support. You can also put that top lane, and given that there is a Dr. Mundo not addressed on the map right now, I would potentially pick the Trundle because it's known as a counter to Mundo top.
That's a very good point. There is also the fact that they could pick Soraka Mundo and just be unkillable for the rest of the game right now, but I'm glad they're not going for something like that, as Graves and Skarner have been locked in.
I mean...
Oh, no, it's a Thresh. That was the most last-minute switchover. I thought that we had it.
That was like negative 1 second.
Thank God. Yeah,
just
exactly. Exactly.
I was so confused. Where is the Skarner going? But no, it's going to be a Thresh. They have taken that one away from Zero, if it's worth anything. He's a very good Thresh player. Jezov, no doubt they would share champion pools if they share aggression. So still a very good champion to take away in a first rotation. It doesn't reveal their hand, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a very good point. But Kallista's now being locked in for Mystic. He's going to be picking that one up, and that's the bot lane locked in here for WE as well. So it's going to be Alistair Kallista.
Yeah.
Kallister.
Oh.
It doesn't even really work.
No, you go Cal-Lister.
Cal-Lister.
Yeah.
Not even sure I like that one. But pegging cows around is a fun thing to do. So that's what's going to be happening there in the bottom lane. The answer is going to be the wife steal by the looks of things, as Romantics hovering over the Lucian, and already the lock-in here of the Cassidy, and the answer to GA's LeBlanc.
It's very interesting. The Cassidy at the moment, by being able to get the Corrupting Potion, actually adds a little bit of extra strength to him in the middle lane, just because it's a bit of extra damage. Always goes for the Flask anyway. It's one of those champions. Usually we go for a teleport, but if you go for an Ignite as that option, then you're looking to out-trade the LeBlanc by putting multiple levels in your queue.
Yeah, and the Magic Shield going to be helping out there quite a lot. As Mystic hovering over the Dr. Mundo. would theoretically be going to Condi there if the Fiora is going to be locked in here for 957.
I just can't believe Mundo is being picked in this rotation.
I know,
There's
right?
a Thresh Graves in the first rotation. You could just go for Mundo Graves, but do they value the Thresh that highly when there was an Alistar already there? Like,
well, playmaking supports, of course, on both sides of the map this time around, and there's not too many champions better at that than Thresh. But you raise a fantastic point, as the Alistar was already locked in first pick anyway.
so the only thing that's missing from the Energy Pacemaker all side is going to be the top laner. They saved Trundle as an option still across the entire board right now, and they were last pick. So the fact that they've gone for Mundo in the last rotation here on Team World Elite should
Theoretically.
leave open the option. Of course, we do know what Gimgoon plays. It was in his match history when he saw it earlier, so if he disregards me, you know what? That's fine. You do you. But I would like to think that they would go for the Trundle option, as it does beat Mundo. Even in skirmishes and team fights, I'm saying, not directly through laning.
Yeah, of
it's
course,
the
of
ultimate.
course. Took me a little second there, but I got there in the end. As Hecarim is being considered here. Still a long time for Energy Pacemaker all to figure it out. That being said, we can talk about the full roster here of WE, as the unkillable Mundo is going to be there. There's also the ultimate available for Alistar at the same time. This team fight could go for a long time from WE.
Alistar, Mundo.
Yep.
So gross.
It is disgusting.
You can't get rid of that front line. The interesting part will be Graves, Lucian, Kassadin can kind of weave their way around the fight. They're very good at not dying to the Fiora, first and foremost.
That's a very good point.
So pretty easy to kite it back. Let's say at least one of the frontline members. Alistar is a one-and-done type of champion for at least 10 seconds. So, I mean, like, team comp-wise, you look at the roster that World Elite have put together. Is World Elite?
Yes.
Yeah, World Elite have put together, and it's not that bad. Like, it's very strong. They've got a really good team fight. There is no way to get through that front line. But depending on the last pick of Energy Pacemaker all, there is a very real chance that they can work around the front line. Almost blatantly ignore that they exist because they aren't going to do as much damage as the back line, and just kill the back line with a single death sentence.
Yeah. That's the point. We'll see whether they can get to that point. The other thing is that WE can just delete one player. If they manage to get that Alistar right on top of someone, LeBlanc can just come in and finish them off. So we'll see whether that is going to be the way that they do it. The pick potential of that team is definitely something to be feared.
Yeah.
We'll see, of course. Few issues with Champion Select. We are going to be back very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to make sure that we are all right and all ready to get into our first game here of day number 2 of the LPL. We are going to have a complete redo, of course, of this particular Champ Select.
And we'll see if they want to go for the same champions or if it's an entirely new redo, of course.
I have a feeling it will be the same champions.
And just that last pick was the one remaining to be locked in, of course. So a lot
Bated
of questions.
breath.
Yeah. There was 10 seconds left and they would have said, no, we don't know yet.
If it was you, Rusty, if you were forming a team comp here for EPA, who would you pick?
I've given you my answer.
Oh, yeah?
Once before already. Trundle.
Oh, yeah.
There's, yeah, Trundle's.
That's confirmed?
Well, I would have.
For some reason, I find it boring, the Trundle in the top lane, especially into the old Fiora. I just feel like he'd have to not do anything.
There was
for
an
the first part
interview
of
with
the
Zatai about counters to Fiora. Now, Lissandra was already banned. There was one other counter that he mentioned that I actually wholeheartedly believe in, except I don't believe in Gimgoon being able to play it, is Vayne.
Whoa.
So Vayne is labeled by Zatai, a very reputable source, as the counter to Fiora. It's also a very good counter to Mundo and a very good counter to Alistar.
That is okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Makes 380 carries on the side as well.
And I am an absolute cheese lord. Like, let's be honest. Let's like set the precedent. If I were to pick a counter into this team comp for Energy Pacemaker, it would be Vayne. The really good competitive pick is Trundle.
Yeah.
Use your ultimate. Mundo doesn't exist. Alistar potentially doesn't exist. Depends on the situation. It rounds out the team comp quite well because then they've got a lot of pick potential. You place down the Pillar of Filth, or Pillar of Ice now, I believe it's called.
Pillar of Ice is now what it's called.
And then you get the Death Sentence. You got a Kassadin to help catch people out of position, and then you've got a Graves and a Lucian to just put down the hurt. It's a very well-rounded team comp.
Yeah, I definitely like it. Being able to strip that Mundo of his effective health statistics is definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
But still would prefer the Vayne. I think it's hilarious. The whole idea just sounds fantastic.
It's actually legit.
Yeah.
It's so legit.
Well, top lane Vayne has been a thing, for quite some time. We've just never really seen it in competitive play.
Yeah.
One day, Rusty.
Well, we already got
day.
Nick Corky. I'm still vying for the Vayne next.
Really?
After
You've
AP
given up on the
Lucian.
AP
No.
Lucian? I was going to say.
We weren't meant to reveal that one on
Oh,
broadcast just yet.
God. I'm sorry.
That was a secret.
Yeah, well.
Damn it.
That it works. I was terrified.
No one play it. Please.
Someone broke League of Legends. I was like, what's Rusty? What's happening?
Yeah.
But anyway, we are going to be getting into this game very, very soon. And, of course, the bans are what really interest me here, Rusty. And Tahm Kench, MF Rise, I mean, we're not really seeing the same bans that we saw yesterday. Kindred got entirely overlooked throughout the whole draft.
Yeah, and that's actually a very interesting thing to me. Why did they not go for the Kindred? Well, I can tell you the Graves was there. Graves is amazing, so you may as well go for the Graves. But in response, honestly, they just, like, World Elite just said, well, we've got Mundo open. Like, why not pick Mundo? Sure, Kindred's amazing, but we've already built the precedent that our team comp is designed to team fight and dive. We're not looking to poke or siege as such, whereas Kindred's very good at counter-engaging.
Yeah.
Or preventing engages that can instantly burst people. Very good against burst champions as well, as just mentioned. They've got a Graves who has kind of got burst, but it's more sustained burst at the moment with the current changes to Graves. Lucian is a lot of damage over time, and Kassadin, even though it's burst, it kind of puts you on top of people, and you've already got an Alistar to directly counter that one.
Yeah.
A Kalista to pull you back and save himself. A Fiora who can use the riposte as well, which is what they picked with that last rotation. And a LeBlanc that should never be in a position to do so. So sure, Kindred doesn't necessarily suit the World Elite team comp with what they're looking to do, their purpose as a team. I do think it could have been picked instead of the Graves maybe on Energy Pacemaker role. But Graves is just great. Graves is just so great.
Yeah. Now, well, when you say that he's got sustained burst, that just sounds like he has ludicrous amounts of damage in general.
Well, seriously, he can hit you with 3 shots at once. Like,
that's
he's got a
basically
shotgun.
it, right? But looks like we are back into Champions Select, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to have everything very, very similar. I believe Lulu's going to be banned away next, if I can predict the future. There we are. Rise and Lissandra are going to follow immediately afterwards as Team WE just going to be going through their picks. And we'll see what Energy Pacemaker all decide to last pick for their top lane position, unless it's going to be a top lane Graves.
Look, it's possible.
I know,
it is
right?
entirely possible. It's the 2 roles that you play Graves at the moment instead of AD carry, because it's not as good, is jungle and top.
Well, there you can see the Thresh locked in. So everything moving very, very quickly now. We're hopefully going to be onto the Rift ASAP as Romantic is going to lock away that Lucian one more time. And as far as this lane matchup is concerned here, Rusty, the Alistar and Kalista versus the Thresh Lucian, how do you think that goes just a straight 2v2?
You would have to favor the person who's got an extra piece of range on them, right? With the Thresh and the Lucian.
Yeah.
They do a lot of damage between the two, but honestly, if the Alistar ever gets in range to auto-attack and combo, that with the Kalista combo with the W as well, the burst is ridiculous. There's a very real chance that you can get bursted out here from the World Elite side. But sustained fighting, if they can whittle their opponents down, Energy Pacemaker all do look quite good.
Well, they definitely do now, as they have picked up Poppy in the top lane here for Gimgoon as well. So we are going on to the sort of more carry-associated top lane champions, as Poppy can be built, you know, relatively tanky, but also does like to grab the Black Cleavers and such as well to really get into that backline and mess people up. But it's really great to see, and we'll see how Gimgoon's going to play this one. And Fiora versus Poppy, Rusty, how does it go?
It's just so hard to kill a Poppy. It doesn't matter what, like, if you... There's one thing that you can riposte, essentially. Like, of course, you can riposte the dash. It's actually quite predictable. But if you use the riposte on the dash, you've then got the Poppy ultimate to just say, get out of my house, like, immediately afterwards. So you kind of have to save that for the ultimate, and then it becomes a big mind game. Like, Poppy can charge that for a very long time and doesn't have to throw it until you've riposted. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to call it entirely skill matchup.
Well, we'll see how it does go, as of course it's now 957's opportunity to prove himself as this potential prodigy in the top lane here for WE. We'll see whether he can do a GA one more time.
Yeah, and GA, of course, still in this lineup. Is going to be very potent on this LeBlanc. It's good to see him still playing the hyper carries.
Yeah, and the assassins.
Yeah. Exactly right.
But let's get on to the Rift. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the rift for World Elite, taking on Energy Pacemaker all for Game 1 of Day 2 of the LPL. And so far, Condi pretending that he's on his own.
It's the best skin. Sorry,
It's so
it's just
fun,
so good.
the banjo attack.
I can't help but laugh every time I see that moon nose.
Oh, wait, no, they're ukuleles. I think we went
yeah,
through
no,
this.
ukuleles and a sun hat.
Yeah.
It's glorious.
So ridiculous.
So they're basically right. They're sitting on the blue side of the map. The World Elite were at the very beginning of this, just kind of asserting their presence in the neutral areas of the map, not letting Energy Pacemaker work their way in at all, because Graves is very good at taking away jungle camps with his raw damage this early in the game.
Yeah, and of course, it doesn't take a whole lot of damage either, because he can just beat the little creeps away from him, which I just think is really unfair.
No, it's such a good strategy for jungling, and it's the only reason people do jungle Graves in the first place instead of top lane is because you don't take damage. Like, you can start with the items that Graves has right now and do 2 full clears basically, and not have to recall.
Yeah, you get auto-attacked by, like, 1 creep during that entire time. But it looks like a potential lane swap is going to be coming in here for WE as Mystic's heading towards the top side of the map. Alistair still hanging around here. Zero's just making his way into the jungle. Just going to annoy Rabbit if he can.
I would imagine so. He didn't place the vision directly to watch them doing the first camp, but he now knows, as you can tell, that they're at that red buff. And he's probably just going to be a pest. But of course, on the flip side, Giezor, he's there.
He is, and they've already completed the red buff here as well, so a little bit late on the side of Giezor. But look, Zero's making his way in, almost gets it as the Pulverize is a little bit late. Oh man, that would have been a steal as Giezor makes his way into the mid lane. Gia just takes an empowered auto attack.
I'm disappointed.
Get out of my lane.
Zero should have had that.
I know.
He saved the Pulverize for no particular reason. And just did not get it. Had 50 health left, and he chose not to take it.
They opted into hard mode, I think.
Yeah.
Just saying, no.
Not this time.
It's not the time to get
Not
ahead.
like this.
Well, successful lane swap here for WE as they are on their own on the top side of the map. Bit of double jungling going on as Gimgoon is going to be following Rabbit around. Yeah, with a bit of harassment, but you can see Republic doing fine here in the mid lane.
Yeah, definitely going to be doing fine. Kassadin, of course, as mentioned, puts a couple of the levels into queue, and this early in the game, you expend way too much mana as the LeBlanc trying to poke a Kassadin out.
Yeah.
Your biggest threat usually comes from auto-attacking, but then wave control is such a big deal in this middle lane against a Kassadin. You need to make sure he misses farm by keeping him under the turret. So, difficult to try and push a Kassadin out of lane. You're mostly trying to deny farm, and you can see he's trying his best to do that and succeeding.
Yeah, well, you can see as well, WE going for the fast push. It is going to be answered here by EPA if they can at least get a minion wave towards that turret. So Republic going down very low here in the mid lane, but of course we've had a lot of talks about global gold and the fact that getting these turrets earlier on is very, very important for making sure that you can eke your way ahead. It looks like WE, they've done some research on that one. They're going to take a turret here at 3.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, they're definitely going to look to push as fast as possible, get themselves some gold, establish a small amount of items before they recall, potentially get back to those standard lanes one more time. As Condi's in.
He's going for it here. That's first blood for GA already. Rabbit97 now just trying to clear out some minions as the clone's just chilling. And they're still pushing.
That was a lot of damage. Condi with the auto attack reset, with the E as well, hits the cleaver before he did it. So he cleavered, flash autoed, auto reset, and then there was an ignite to secure the kill. Nothing
just
Republic
Mundo
could have
mechanics,
done.
man.
Yeah.
Mundo mechanics.
He got moondoed.
Yeah, well, the turret is going to be answered there on the bottom side, but you can see this inner turret in the top lane for WE taking a lot of hurt. Also dishing a whole lot back there as Mystic takes a bunch of his health bar. But here's a replay of this one.
Yeah, so watch the Mundo, of course. Well done from Gia to hit that binding. Knows he's in place and then flashes with the auto attack. It does a ridiculous amount of damage. Well done from Rabbit, positioning-wise to be in that middle lane. Right place, right time. But just slightly too slow. Was not able to help his teammate who went down.
Yeah, did also have to expend his flash there to pick up that kill, so Rabbit not going to be dashing around quite as much. But we'll see how this one shakes out. As that is one turret down in the top lane, one turret down in the bottom lane for EPA as well. We'll see whether we can get some normalcy back into this game, but it looks like this bottom lane, they're just not going to meet at any point.
They're trying their best to avoid it. So the Lucian Thresh is a very strong lane. It's very difficult for an Alistar Kalista to actually fight them without having to engage. And you run such a big risk against the Graves jungle trying to engage on people because he clears so quickly and can be literally anywhere on the map. And Condi, the perfect example of this, has spent so much time trying to find that Graves instead of actually ganking. He got one great gank off in the middle lane. The rest of us just sitting in the opposition jungle, as you can see him right now, trying to let his team push to make sure there is no Graves or there is no ganks, not necessarily ganking himself.
Well, you can see WE just repeating the process here on the bottom side of the map as this outer turret is going to be under fire. Massive wave in the top lane, though.
Yeah.
Romantics just playing PvE.
Well, I mean, they all are at the moment.
Yeah.
But this is the outer turrets being established, right? Very standard at the moment. Everyone tends to play the game a little bit slow, even in China, believe it or not. They take their time to get their first buys in, usually, and then they start to poke each other. But whoa, Republic, be careful. Yeah,
the chains land there from GA. Auto attack's doing a fair bit of work as Condi's just going to quit sunbaking for a little bit, head towards the mid lane. Not going to find anything onto the Kassadin. Now EPA just going to be taking away all the jungle that they can as Romantic's going to continue getting damage down on this turret. First one, once again, falling for WE. But thus far, very even game. Only 500 gold in it, and that's before this turret's fall.
So EPA have got the concept down, right? They know how to do the lane swaps to execute and get the turrets, but they're so far behind in actually executing on it and getting it the way that they want, matching that of World Elite. They have to wait an extra wave. It starts to eke small advantages out in favor of World Elite, just in positioning on the map, and also knowing that the middle lane can be a 1v1, and we've seen the results of that. We've seen the fruits of their labor, essentially, in just that 1v1 between GA and Republic.
Well, GA already picked up a Negatron cloak here as well. Doesn't decide on rushing towards that Frost Queen's claim that we've been seeing a heck of a lot of. Just has the Frost Fang now as Mystic. He's noticed another outer turret, Rusty, and he's heading straight towards it.
Oh, no. Very difficult for Kassadin. Needs support if he wants to defend this at all. If they bring more than just the two people over here. Republic being level 6... there is no reason Mystic should be as far up as he just was.
Yep.
Because he's only going to take free damage for it. The thing is, they've left him by himself, and now Energy Pacemaker could honestly just group mid and push themselves.
Oh, yeah, is looking for Gimgoon here as Condi's going to make his way around. Chains don't land. The flash comes down, but there's the knock-up from Zero as Gimgoon tries to use the W, but it's not going to be enough, and GA gets delivered a kill.
Of course, a very good rotation. Should have been predicted. 957.
Yeah, the exhaust is down. 957 in a whole bunch of trouble, but does manage to flash and dash away. Romantic not going to be able to get any more, and she's going to clear out the minion wave.
And once again, this is the difference between what we're seeing on both of these teams. World Elite, 10 seconds ahead of their opponents, and every single time it starts to eke minor advantages out in favor of World Elite. The biggest concern is, exactly as we were mentioning, this middle lane, leaving Republic to catch up in farm, and get a bit of CS and poke down onto Mystic. But as long as Mystic doesn't die, it's still a net game for this World Elite side.
Well, GA's putting pressure on the top side, but you can see it was a big minion wave on the bottom for Romantic and Jejo to really push this one in. 957 can't even approach that one, but GA's pretty huge, even without very much damage at all. Still pressuring people away from the turrets.
Yeah. He doesn't really need items to do damage. The Blanc's base damage is just disgusting, and you can tell that by his Negatron Cloak first item. Working towards the Abyssal Scepter, you would imagine something we even saw in the LCK. They have to go for the Abyssal Scepter first. They were versing poke champions when they did it. Kassadin, once he hits level 6, wants to poke his opponents down with burst over time till he knows he can kill, and then overcommit. But if he can never overcommit, can't kill him.
Yeah, very true, but nice ward there on the bottom side of the map. 957 not going to fall for it, not going to move too far up there to try and grab some creeps. Inner turret does eventually fall down, and there's pings on Dragon here for EPA.
They definitely should be looking at it. LeBlanc spent way too long sitting in the top side of the map. Behind in farm now on her mid lane opponent, has the 2 kills to even it out, but map control on the bottom side of the map should go to Energy Pacemaker role, and I'm glad they went for the Dragon because it was the obvious choice for them to do so.
Yeah, we've been seeing Dragon given a little bit less priority just recently, but he's going to still offer the same advantages that you would normally get. First one, a few extra percentage on those base stats. Yeah. Romantic going to clean up this lane. Zero's made his way around, looking for a potential dive maybe, but he's only level 4, so not going to have that Unbreakable Will available just yet.
No, supports in China tend to put themselves very behind this LPL support meta that they seem to have devised around themselves. It's not always great for diving, but of course they've got Condi, level 6 on the Mundo. Should be able to take a brunt of the damages. Hello,
Whoa.
Graves.
Okay, some collateral damage there in the mid lane. Rabbit says, no, it's not the time for sieging, guys. Just get out of there.
So they don't have the Lucian ultimate now. They don't have the Graves ultimate now. And World Elite is still trying to siege. Honestly, they should get a lot of damage down onto this turret, essentially for free because they've used ultimates.
Yeah, there's also the fact that Zero can dive this one. I mean, the Fate's Call is available from Mystic to get him out of trouble if he's in it. You're not going to be able to find the death sentence onto the cow.
And the Spooky Ghost was the item of choice as well from this LeBlanc. So getting the money first is always the most important part. It's such a good item, honestly, just to get the Spooky Ghost, because they're just ridiculous. The fact that you can generate money on a very cost-efficient item as it is helps you get towards your next item first. And being maybe 18 CS behind on the assumption the kills were the same would still be okay for anyone in this middle lane. So you can actually sacrifice farm a little bit and lane control. And it's like Twisted Fate, basically.
Yeah, not to mention the active is just stupid.
Yeah.
The fact that it slows you for so incredibly long gives you the ability to land all those chains, everything that you like. Very scary item, especially in the hands of a LeBlanc, and we'll see whether it's going to be utilized effectively here from GA. Some janitorial business being taken by Jeja there in the river.
It just feels like Energy Pacemaker all, they know what they want to do, but they really cannot do it. Every single time they look at something on the map, there's pings going left, right, and center. They've got ideas in their head. They go to execute, and World Elite are already a step ahead. Yeah. Every single time World Elite do something, and let's not say that World Elite are super refined with it just yet. Just that Energy Pacemaker all just seem slow.
They do. That being said, they are ahead by at least 100 gold at the moment, but nothing to write home about. As far as scaling on these teams is concerned, I mean, 280 carries does seem good by Energy Pacemaker all, but I just don't think you can ever count out a Mundo.
You definitely can't. At least the 80 carries, I will say 80 carries because the Graves jungle from Energy Pacemaker are capable of killing tanks.
Yeah.
You have to keep that in mind. So Mundo's not going to run away with the game by himself. He'll be looking at the Alistar to be big also. Have a very big overbearing frontline threat and have the Fiora to bolster their damage output and actually take down the backline of Energy Pacemaker. Well, World Elite scale very well. Energy Pacemaker scale just as well.
Yeah, and it's all about execution as we move into the mid-game here. Gimgoon, haven't seen much of his Poppy so far. Does have the Swiftness boots. Of course, 957 picking those ones up as well. And it's just a cheap, cost-effective source of movement speed now. Gimgoon just utilizing the fact that the Vitals were behind him. Always frustrating for a Fiora player.
It looked like 957 was running Grasp of the Undying. Very unique choice. Zero's caught.
He has been. There's the collateral damage. He's just going to yell triumphantly and get himself out of there.
A lot of damage, but it feels a bit lackluster.
Yeah.
They didn't get a kill. They weren't going to get anything even from that kill, you would have to wager. So where is their mind at? What are they looking for?
Well, 957 actually going aggressive here onto the Poppy. Very much like the use of the W by Gimgoon, making sure you can't dash around as Fiora freely. A decently long cooldown. We'll see whether they're going to go for anything else. GA doesn't find the chain, so he's going to hop back to his distortion.
It's such a unique top lane to watch. Of course, the W is very good from Gimgoon to stop Fiora from doing anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be very good to disengage / catch her out of position. But still, it's in a very comfortable position for 957. He's kept that frozen for such a long period of time. Grasp of the Undying, as I touched on earlier, is actually very smart. Because there's nothing Poppy can do. If the Vitals connect and you get health back and you get a Grasp of the Undying from the Q, which you do,
yeah,
then you get out-traded 95% of the time.
Well, speaking of getting health back, it looks like Steric's Gauge is going to be the first option here for 957 as well. So not even opting for any sort of damage at the beginning. It's making sure that he can survive for as long as possible.
It could be a Titanic Hydra.
Hey, that is a good point.
The interesting part of that is, of course, 0 gold cost to change between the two.
Yeah.
So you could actually itemize towards a Titanic, get the Titanic, and then say, you know what, I want damage or sustain, and just swap.
I'm never used to not seeing Tiamat first. But with the change, of course, doesn't give you cleave on every auto attack. It's now just a usable cleave. So maybe just decides that that's not necessary and I want to have as much health as possible.
Yeah, it's usually only picked up on people who have it as an intertwined aspect of their kit. So say someone who's not comfortable playing Riven.
Yep.
Knows that you need to use it to cancel animations to get more spells in, then you might want the Tiamat. Lee Sin is another good example if you're playing top lane Lee.
haven't for quite some time, as we are going to have a fight break out here. Jie gets his combo off onto Ji Zhao's fight does break, and Gimgoon comes in. The ultimate's down on him, but he's not dying. Not even going to find the vitals here, as Romantic's going to pick up Mystic. This is a massive fight for EPA, as 957 tries to get out. They're underneath the turret, and they are going to survive. Finally pulling the trigger now, and an aggressive play for EP really pays off.
And that's exactly what we were looking for from Energy Pacemaker. Or they make an aggressive move. They get a great flank from Gimgoon on this Poppy. That's the one thing they needed to do, was be proactive, not reactive, and you can see how it pays off.
Yeah, and finally some action now. 16 minutes into the game, EPA pick up both of the outer turrets in the mid lane. And Condi now just going to pick up the pieces, and let's see this one again.
So Jiezo hits the hook. Jie's also blown his entire combo. So there's a very awkward position here where Jie is just going to go down. Mystic has no choice, actually gets interrupted by Gimgoon. And look at the Poppy ultimate as well.
Yeah.
Lets them kill the Alistar in the backline, and then all they have to do is casually stroll towards where the Poppy has knocked them up to be untargetable and unable to escape.
Yeah, in fact, just took away the whole front line just for a moment, allowed them to deal with everyone else. So Gimgoon, massive play.
And had already killed the backline. So,
yeah.
Of course, credit to Jiezo. He did hit his hook at the start to initiate the entire fight. And a misplay from Jie, who didn't expect a team fight to break out, was simply putting down Burst, but didn't have his ultimate available to get out alive.
No, Mystic now going to clean up the bottom lane, but that's a massive structural advantage here for EPA. So they did manage to stretch that lead in turrets to 5 against 3. And this is where WE were ahead of the side, and it seems like now those tables have turned.
It definitely has. Of course, the gold has always remained reasonably even until that last fight exploded it out. It's not a great amount. It's not going to be a game-changing amount, but you can feel, especially since the latest patches and we're being in the preseason, that smaller amounts of gold are required to snowball the game to victory.
Yeah.
It's much more easy. You can take the Rift Herald as an example and try and push a lane with it. You can control one of the 3 lanes then, with a greater degree of success, you would have to say, in a 1v1. And then look to snowball the rest of the map. About 5k is generally the margin where you know someone is unbelievably ahead. Usually used to be 10k.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But now, only 3 for EPA. A little bit more work to do before things are going to be looking too dire for WE. But Condi, dangerous ward. Hook's going to land here, and a lot of damage now onto the Mundo. Does have the ultimate, but it's not enough. The burst damage from Rabbit going to be there, as well as the culling from Romantic. Now they're going to be able to transition into a tower. Just seems like every time they pick something up, there's something else there to gather.
Yeah, Rabbit putting in work right now. His damage, and of course, Jezzo starting it all with the hook one more time. The guy doesn't seem to miss his hooks, and it's almost like ABC for this Energy Pacemaker all side. World Elite have something to say, though.
That flay was ridiculous now. Zero does have the ultimate pop. They're looking for something. Gimgoon going to deny any headbutts with that W, and the inhibitor now under fire. EPA have broken the base. 957 not taking too much damage there, and they're not going to push their luck too much as WE do get them out, but that is going to be the base done at this stage for the top lane on WE.
Yeah, and don't be fooled, it wasn't a Baron. 18 minutes into this game, they just burst their way through and managed to kill a Mundo off a pick. That's a champion that you never see die. And he just went down to it. Rabbit, watch out.
Yeah, could be in trouble now as well. Republic is hanging around. He's just going to come in and take the kill.
All
Brilliant bait there from the Graves.
All right, Rabbit, don't watch out. You're fine.
Yeah,
that wasn't even a bait. He was recalling. He was like, hey, Rabbit. Hey, help me. It's okay.
Yeah, Republic's like, all right, I guess I'll pick up a kill.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh, my God. So 957 did a blind. At the same time, he scried. He doesn't have vision of that bush. Bye.
Yeah.
Didn't even... Nope. It's just the burst that comes out of a Graves. This is why you pick that champion. If you meet a Graves next to a wall, especially in that area, which is only walls and in small confined areas, you're looking to die. The scrying orb should have been on the tribe bush anyway, because he was queuing to that spot.
Yeah, well, of course, just looking to try and pick up whatever he can is 957. Does have now the Tiamat.
I was going to say, to be fair, it wasn't his scrying orb.
Ah, that's another good point. Oh yeah, the Titanic Hydra was completed, so you're right, wasn't a Sterix Gauge early on. Could be building it now, but that could also be a Black Cleaver there with the Phage potentially picked up. 957 going to have a bit of a higher ability to split push now as well with the extra cleave damage, so clearing out minions very, very quickly. Could be a thing, but it's looking dangerous here for WE as that lead is stretched to about 4,000, closer to 5. And Rusty, you did just tell us that 5K is a big deal.
It's not the lights out margin, don't get me wrong, but it's also the margin where error should be non-existent from World Elite. So one more mistake could cost them the entire game is what I'm saying for this World Elite side, and we might be seeing it.
Yeah, 957 is going to jump over that wall. Will need to use the riposte. Oh my goodness, Romantic. That was blind too. Just brilliant. Almost manages to pick up the kill.
That was not too bad at all. Now 957 though, out of position, has to recall. This gives a lot of time for Gimgoon to threaten bottom. They've got an open inhibitor in the top lane with wards to know someone's coming to defend it. That one ward's actually going to be great for them. And the Baron. 21 minutes in this game, they could actually force that Baron.
Well, 957 going to answer Gimgoon now. Not going to get too much damage off onto him.
Fiora did exactly as predicted, to be perfectly honest with you. Swapped at 0 gold cost.
Yeah, I like it.
Very efficient laning item to go for the Titanic Hydra, but if you're looking to trade and sustain in a 1v1, you need to go for the Ravenous Hydra. And wave clear, most importantly.
Yeah, well, he's now picked it up. Realized the error of his ways, potentially, Rusty. Or just decided that having the extra health was better as he was moving forward. Oh, Chain's barely missing on Jezor.
That flank is so risky.
Yeah.
0 needs to be careful. If they rotate at all, they could... Yeah, there it is. They know he's there.
Well, Rabbit going to try and block him off here as GA moving forward. Does have the distortion to go back to. Seems they can't actually threaten this inhibitor, though. WE doing a fantastic job defensively in order to at least keep their structures alive at this stage of the game. It's very much looking scary, though, as EP, they own their jungle, and it's going to be a matter of time before they just get more resources. Yeah,
it's funny. Their strategy, Energy Pacemaker, and granted it should be one of the very good strategies for them to implement, was to just have Gimgoon split push. He's so strong at the moment with all of his armor. The problem there is that the Ravenous Hydra was completed for 957. His sustain and ability to 1v1, it's very difficult for a Poppy to match.
Well, it is going to be EPA just deciding to pick up the Dragon here. It's going to be their second. WE managed to pick up one for themselves earlier on before. After that atrocious team fight. Consolation Dragon. So it's only number 2, so it doesn't really mean all that much. Rabbit does secure it.
It's honestly just an objective that's on the map.
Yeah.
The dragon,
to do, guys.
The number 1, first dragon is the most important dragon, without a doubt. From there, very, very lackluster until maybe 4. And the only reason 4 is good is because you can threaten 5.
Yeah, it's a good point. One thing that we do have to mention, 957 is 60 CS ahead of Gimgoon.
Yeah.
Who has been split pushing a lot, just hasn't quite managed to find as many of the minions as 957 has. So deceptive, the fact that his scoreline does say 0-2-0. Dude has a lot of creeps killed.
He does have a whole lot of creeps killed, in fact, and it's almost the saving grace of this side at the moment.
Yeah.
The fact that he could be so far ahead in split push. I mean, we already saw the fruits of his labor just by farming that much. He can just sit and 1v1 Poppy with no regards for anyone killing him. They're all trying to threaten Baron.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he's so slippery as well. Does have the dash. Swifty boots are there for a whole lot of extra movement speed, so not really going to be catching the Fiora too quickly. Jie is going to continue clearing things out. And if he's free to distort a minion wave, that's a lot of wave clear as well.
Yeah, he shouldn't be free to distort minions where they're actually pressuring, though. They've got the Thresh, Graves to do burst, Lucian to honestly just burst as well at this stage. He is monstrously ahead, working towards his third item as well. That's gross. And Boots of Swiftness to boot on 3 of the members of EPA.
Yeah, actually decided to go for that one. Of course, we do see a lot of Lucians decide to go for a lot of extra cooldown reduction. The Boots of Lucidity can get you to 40% very, very quickly, but deciding instead he wants a whole lot of extra movement speed.
Well, it's so good into Mundo. 25% slow reduction and an extra point in the amount of speed that you can walk at. Kind of, it doesn't ruin Mundo at all, but it kind of negates a fair chunk of that without having to spend an extra 300 gold on Merc Treads. So it's very efficient.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Oh, fantastic dodge there from 957, trying to get a little bit of extra hurt down. But the W's there is going to save Gimgoon's life. Now Republic and Romantic moving in to try and get something going on. And Republic very aggressive with his movements now as WE have found their way back towards this inhibitor, but it's taking fire from Romantic. They have to start doing something. Death Sentence going to go wide.
Oh my god.
As Republic, once more, very aggressive play. The chains land on him though as GA's clone's doing something. As now Mystic's going to make his way in, but it's going to be the inhibitor falling. That's going to be the aim of EP, and they make their way out.
Over-aggression just pays off for this Kassadin. There is no threat of genuinely killing him. He's pretty damn tanky.
Yeah, he's got the Zhonya's there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's always going to be fine because he's got Rod of Ages and Zhonya's. LeBlanc's damage by going for that Abyssal Scepter first is not going to be crazy. It's not going to be through the roof by any means. So it chunks people out, never kills them. And realistically, all they had to do was poke one person down and brute force their way in. 957 did have a teleport. So did Gimgoon. The difference is one can cancel the other.
Yeah.
And Poppy can definitely cancel Fiora's teleport, whereas Fiora's kind of left wanting in that department. So
so you can never take the initiative if you are the Fiora in order to go and help, because Gimgoon can just destroy you. But WE now going to try and get some vision down in this Baron pit. You can see there were some extra wards, but they wanted to make sure that they were invisible at least. Now Republic just moving on to clear out this mid lane. So Mystic's going to grab the red buff. Takes away the ward there as well. Bit of a cheeky one.
They still get approximate time as if they're on the ball.
Yeah, but you mentioned this already, the fact that both of these teams able to scale very effectively towards the later game. That gold lead has gone nowhere, even though that inhibitor did fall down.
It's just so hard to dive or siege a Mundo Alistar.
Yeah.
LeBlanc's got a lot of wave clear. She's very good at countering siege, as is Kalista, because the Alistar in Zero can be positioned aggressively and be saved if, God forbid, they decide to focus an Alistar.
And there's just been not a whole lot of kills for the last 10 minutes of this game.
Yeah.
Of course, the last big team fight was at 16 minutes. 2 turrets were gained by EPA, and that's how we're at this position, but nothing has changed from that point. And it's just been very calculated League of Legends, and it's interesting talking about that, given the fact that these are teams with relatively new rosters. Oh, the culling does come down, but GA dodges most of that with the Mimic Distortion.
Why has everyone got Grasp with the Undying?
Because you get health back, Rusty.
Sure.
Yeah, no, literally not a whole lot of an idea.
It's just amazing, because we're on the Thunderlords patch, right?
Yeah.
But so many people from World Elite in particular opting towards that item. Sure, it's good for 1v1ing, as 957 is trying his best to show you. But beyond that, you may as well have a Thunderlords for burst.
Well, Gimgoon looking to try and get aggressive now. The Vital's on his left side, not too worried about it. Jay just looking to try and clear this one up as much as possible. The chains land again, and that is a very dead Thresh. Now Rabbit under fire. Zero's going to get ulted back. Heads back towards base as quickly as possible, but that's a decent pick for WE. See whether they can get anything more.
Yeah, except Zero doesn't have his flash anymore, and they only got the support for that. Of course, GA does not have the ignite either. Only 2 summoner spells. Not too bad for a single pick. It does kind of null the aggression, kind of quells the threat here from Energy Pacemaker All, but you can see they're still looking threateningly. They want to catch someone out of position going towards the Baron. Problem with that, World Elite don't need to go towards the Baron. They've got like 3 wards on it.
Yeah. Whole bunch of vision is available for this WE side. Condi looking to try and grab a Gromp. It's going to be stolen by Rabbit. You mentioned Graves as being a fantastic counter jungler, a guy that just likes to eat minions as much as possible. Romantic going to run away from GA and does have, of course, the assistance of his top laner there.
It's just, they're just not pulling the trigger. Energy Pacemaker All had an advantage. They've now essentially lost that advantage because 957's got his 2 items completed. Mundo is starting to come online as an overbearing tank, and that's exactly what he is. And only now do EPA look at the Baron as the big point of contention for them to take. And it's something they should have been doing for quite some time, but instead, they're looking honestly to do the Dragon win condition, which is slow and very controlled. And if it works, then great. But if it doesn't, you're leaving yourself open to so many other opportunities to be countered and killed.
Yeah, it's another 12 minutes as well, a bit before a potential 5th Dragon is going to be available. They're looking at sort of a 42-minute win condition if they are going to go for that one. Instead, you're right. I mean, they had control of the map completely. Go for the Baron.
Yeah, or at least control the Baron and like force people out of position, right? Like if you just put vision down on the entire Baron area instead of letting a scrying orb sit on it for upwards of 5 minutes, which is basically what just happened until now. I mean, you're leaving yourself in a position where World Elite know you're not going for it, and all they have to do is sit in their base and be calm, cool, and collected.
Well, they are going to do so. 957 now moving towards the bottom lane. Has his teleport available.
There's a scrying orb on the Baron still.
Yeah, Rabbit is probably going to clear that one out.
Noticed.
Are you talking to me or to EPA?
Yeah, no, just... Oh.
It's still there. Still there, guys.
Please, rule number 1, check inside the pit.
Yeah, they're pinging all over it. 957.
They're about to go in. And yeah, look, come on. Finally, we did it.
There it is.
Now you can force the Baron if you want to, or bait the Baron. Just do something with the Baron. Fiora's going to be a pain in the bum in about 20 seconds.
Well, we'll see what happens. EPA not quite pulling the trigger
Poppy
just
teleport.
yet. Yeah, Jie even managed to pick up that blue buff as well. That's so much burst damage out from the Lucian as Jie is just going to get destroyed. Zero gets picked up by the hook. Jie Zhao, fantastic play, but Gimgoon might be in a little bit of trouble. They have lost their mid laner. That is so much of the burst damage down for WE. And EP, they are just going to take down that inhibitor one more time. We'll see whether they can get any extra pressure. It is going to be the continued split push from 957, but the game might be what EP are looking for.
There's the teleport finally from 957. They want to fight for this.
Yeah, Zero gets stunned into the wall. Immediately destroyed. Just can't do anything. Mystic's down as well. And EPA, they are all over these team fights as, yeah, the Fiora did manage to get all the vitals, but that doesn't help you when you're dead, as the last turret on the Nexus falls, and EPA, with an incredibly controlled game of League of Legends, take their first one in the LPL.
It